Wow, natural light is definitely, I guess, where it's at. I cut my hair. Also, this is the first video that I'm editing, not doing live. I haven't posted an edited video since I wrote it down, since August 2025, which was 8 months ago. And I had decided to change to doing lives because I'll dive into that. But basically, I just needed a marker every week, and I was really trying to build my wedding planning content. So I decided I was just gonna do lives every week. Now I do miss vlogging and editing videos a little bit, but more about that a little bit later. By the time this posts, it's going to be the day after my birthday. And you know what it is about birthdays? You feel reflective, you feel a little nostalgic, you feel hopeful, you're like looking ahead into the future. And now at my age, which I won't divulge, but if you look through my channel, it's pretty easy to figure out how old I am. But at my age, there's just, I don't know, I still think a lot. I still overthink a lot. And I think maybe that's like a personality thing for sure. And I kind of wanted to just share where I'm at, just in my journey of life and business and all of that. Because I love looking back at the videos I created as well, because I want to see how much I've progressed or if I've been stuck in some instances. So I watched 41, and yeah, some things definitely don't change and other things do. Basically, I was reflecting last year. It wasn't a birthday video, but the last couple videos I made, it was just reflecting on my content creation journey and also my personal journey. And so some things have changed, some things haven't. This is going to be kind of a YAP video where I am gonna do minimal editing unless I pause for a really long time and it's super boring. But that is the plan, and I hope that having gone live for months and weeks now, that I'll be pretty good at it. I'm gonna start on a personal note, just mental health wise, just personal life wise. And I think this is important because so much of my identity, I feel, is wrapped up into my business owner side and wedding planner side. And so I do like to make sure that I carve out space to look at my life from a personal angle. And I decided to do that today. First, I've make sure to carve out time for family, for friends, for John, for fun. And that has definitely been ongoing. Financially, which is tied to business, but it's an ongoing journey as well. And I think after last year where it was a little bit slower, I think rather than focusing, because my relationship with money is weird, and that's a whole other video for a whole other day. Financially, we're in a good place. Like, we have enough to pay our bills, not be in debt, a little bit of nice to haves. But when we want a big nice to have, for instance, we're going to Asia in June for 3 weeks, which is a long time. We were saving up for that for the last year and a half. And so with that focus or like goal in mind, it's been a little bit easier to plan rather than focusing on what we don't have. And of course, the goal is to eventually get to a place where we're a little bit more comfortable. We can spend on ourselves, we can spend on our friends, splurge on family. I would love to be able to do that. I think acknowledging our situation, just where we're at, not just financially, but just like mentally and everything, understanding that, and then creating actions or taking actions based on the reality of the situation and circumstance that I find myself in. And I'm not talking about the world, that's a whole other thing. I'm talking about just myself, my little life right here, right now. I feel like I'm in a pretty decent place. And when I talk about like accepting things, I'm also talking about like the female cycle. Like, being the age that I am, I feel like the highs are pretty high and the lows can feel really low. The lows to the point where sometimes I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, do I need to seek professional help type of situation? But I realize it's literally every 2 weeks there's a shift, right? Every 2 weeks there's a shift to the high, to the low, back to the high. In the low, I just let myself feel it because, and I warned John, I'm like, hey, guess what phase it is? It's my luteal phase, and I do not want to be bothered. I do not want to be irked. I do not want to be provoked. And of course, he's human too, but I think setting that boundary or kind of drawing that line is helpful because we both know why I'm being a certain way, and I still, have to have grace for him as well. But sometimes it's hard in that moment, But I think it's a good reminder that we're all human and that we all go through these cycles. Obviously, I've been going through this cycle for the better part of my life, but it's only in the last year or 2 years where I feel like I'm really understanding like my moods and like the ups and downs. And of course, that affects everything, like affects, business, affects personal life, affects sometimes relationship micro moments and friendship micro moments, all of those things. And it's just kind of working through it, pushing through it, and knowing that it's all going to be okay. Of course, like if the feeling is more than you can handle, of course, seeking professional help is always recommended. And I think even for people who feel like they are very mentally healthy or have great mental health, I have never gone to therapy, but that's something that I'm really considering, or like a therapy slash like life coach type of situation that I would love to do moving like in the future, in the near future, hopefully. We just opened our HSA account. So, that can also help with that. But yeah, that's kind of where I am mentally, just in my personal, like, little nuclear life. Another thing that's really been bringing me joy as well, around the same time that I posted my last edited video, I started Noonchi Sisters, which is a podcast with my sister, Adela. And honestly, it's a little podcast. We have like maybe 40 something episodes in, and we just decided to do it for fun as a way to sort of just spend time together. And to be honest, I think it's done wonders for our relationship. We've always been pretty close, but the funny thing is, as sisters, like you don't know each other as friends. And especially with an age gap like ours, we're not super far apart, but it's not like we're 1 or 2 years, we're 4 years apart. And so that does feel like a little bit of a gap, even though we're technically like very similar generation. And I think it's done wonders for our relationship. And we always have time in the calendar that we're spending with each other. And it's been feeling really great to have that relationship as friends in the age that we are in our 40s, in this decade, which I would never have expected or foreseen, and it's been really great for us. And like any other sister friendship or sister relationship, we've had our moments and we've had trouble understanding each other sometimes, but I think this really brought us closer together and an understanding with each other. And I think it really goes to show that if you take the time to get to know somebody and to understand them, the amount of grace that you'll feel for them and that they would feel for you it knows no bounds. The time, the love. It's just our relationship has gotten so much deeper because of the conversations that we had and the time that we've spent together. So that I am very grateful for. Our goal was to do at least 52 episodes, and we've done it. We've been doing it, and we do meet in person. We haven't had to do any virtually. We're just not sure where it's going to go yet. So we'll see what happens. But if you do want to catch it, it's called Noonchi Sisters. We are Korean, so we wanted to tap into that a little bit and also let people know that it's a sister podcast in the title. And we're on Spotify, and we don't know how to do any of the other platforms yet. Honestly, we just record. I extract the audio. My sister does some Instagram clips, and that's kind of what we've been doing. But that's been bringing me a lot of joy. I've been reading the Daily Stoic, meditating daily on the different teachings in there, or it's not really teachings, but it's like a daily passage that you read. And it's usually highlighting a passage from, from Roman times, really, from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, from Seneca's letters, just different quotes and different excerpts from there, and it's by Ryan Holiday, who is a Stoic philosopher, whose philosophy I've really appreciated over the years. I've read a couple of his books. I finished Stillness is the Key this year. I've read Obstacle is the Way, and a lot of it is like similar stories, similar teachings, but it's great to have fresh perspectives every time and reminders. I mean, I love TV, so I'm never gonna give that up, but I have been conscious of spending more time to read, which has been feeling really good for me. You know, I have these personal development books and business books, but I'm also introducing some pleasure reading. So that's been fun as well. And now that I'm talking about all of this, wow, like I've really been focusing on feeling grounded, feeling happy, feeling joyful, and not feeling guilty for spending time on these personal things and not the business. Because sometimes I used to feel that, and sometimes I still do. But I think it's also because maybe I felt like I wasn't working hard enough. And I feel like when I am working hard enough, when I spend the time to work on these personal things, do things like reading or personal content or whatever, then I feel so much better. One thing that hasn't changed from last year is trying to figure out like establishing habits or building habits, prioritizing, figuring out time blocks. And I think I'm finally cracking the code. Like last year I shared this like habit tracker, which was like a daily situation. But now I'm doing it so that like work is work during work hours because I work from home. So I'm always distracted by like laundry, dishes, vacuuming, this and that, making the bed. But now I'm like, okay, get up, do a couple things, go to the gym, come back, and then sit as if I'm going into the office. And I have told myself that I am going to go out a couple times a week in terms of like a coffee shop or going to a local hotel lobby. I still haven't done that, but maybe it'll happen. But also just setting time to like go outside, like to a meeting or to a venue visit, like just doing that to like break up my day makes it a little bit easier to just prioritize, because those are all things that are related to work, even if it's not like client work or directly sales related or money making. I am trying to kind of integrate everything in that way. And that is actually a great segue into business, like where I am with business. So this year, obviously making money is still at the very forefront of my mind and how to do that. I felt like the past couple years was just a lot of like trying to figure stuff out, doing a lot of freelance work because I have to supplement my direct clients, my wedding income. And every year though, the percentage is flipping. So for example, if I'm making 100 grand in 1 year, in the very beginning, only like 20 to 30% of that was revenue from weddings or clients who hired me directly, right? But now it's flipping, it's looking to be more than half, which is great. And back then I was like, it's never gonna happen. How is it ever gonna happen? But now that we've been back in LA for a few years, and it's like technically our third year or fourth year really trying to build the business in LA, I feel like the relationships we're building, the confidence we're building with our marketing and all of that, that is definitely finally bearing fruit. And I think I really am trying to focus on building the business and working on the business, or at least carving out time to do that, even if it's once a week, once a month, it doesn't matter. Just making sure that we are doing things little by little. Because when I'm just in it with clients and just in the weeds and just working, doing that, it's really, really hard to see the bigger picture. But now that we've been doing it for a few years, it's easier to see the bigger picture because it's easier to zoom out, see the data, and then plan according to the data. And I'm glad we're in this season because they say that after 5 years, you'll know if you want to keep going with the business or not. And in a couple of years, at the beginning of 2028, it's really, I feel like when we'll be thinking about like, is this going to happen for us? or like, do we throw in the towel? And I want to throw in the towel all the time, like all the time. But this is like the one time that in my life, in my career, where I feel like I don't want to give up. And I say that because since I graduated 20 years ago, I graduated college 20 years ago, I've worked in the government, I've worked in nonprofit, I've worked in the film industry, I have worked in education, and I have worked in events. And this has been what's sticking as a career for the last 13 years. And so 7 years before that, I was kind of flailing around. And part of me does wonder, like, if I had stuck with one of those, like where I would be now. I just left those industries or those jobs because I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I think fulfillment was such a big part of me getting to where I am today. And a lot of times, even people always ask me, why weddings? Because corporate seems so much cooler, brand events seem so much cooler, and they're really fun to work on, yes. Bigger budgets, yes. But for me, I just love my one-to-one connection with my clients and being able to see them from point A to point B. Process is really important. That one-to-one connection that I have, even with some of my non-wedding clients, I still just work with them one-on-one. I don't love the clunkiness of bureaucracy, of like a million managers that have to get approval, and then last minute changes. Like, the process just doesn't work for me anymore. And some people really thrive on that and continue to thrive on that. And I do thrive under pressure. Like, I love a good deadline. I love getting to, obviously, events. Like, you have to get it done within a certain amount of time. I just love that personal connection. And I love the love stories. I just love being a part of that moment in a couple's lives. And I love helping them see it through. And so right now, my focus is obviously on building our wedding planning business. And even in the past few years, I would get really, you know what they say, like, comparison is the thief of joy. And I think I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I have a little bit of ego with the experience that I have in the experiential marketing world. And I feel like that really sets me apart from other wedding planners. And I don't want to detract from the experience other wedding planners have. But I feel like my sense of process, my sense of leadership, my sense of organization, and my confidence in the planning process is really what sets me apart from a lot of wedding planners who may never really have had that corporate experience and really started out kind of solo. Not to say that you can't be an amazing wedding planner or a wedding planning business owner, but I definitely had a little bit of ego, you know, when I was comparing myself to other wedding planners or even other event planners who work in experiential or whatnot, because a lot of times I was like, and this is not a good approach, but a lot of times I was like, I feel like I can do it better. Even saying that out loud, that sounds terrible. Especially when it came to non-wedding events, I was always thinking, I want to go after that because I know I can do it. And so I spent some time like responding to RFPs and doing this, but I realized that's not who I am or who I want to be or the type of business I want to build. So like the last year and this year, I was like, okay, the freelance work is just that. I'm making money to supplement the business that I'm building for weddings. And that's all it is. Like, I don't need to go after events for my own company that don't align with my vision and my future goals. Just coming to that realization was really refreshing. It's really easy to get distracted by, you know, it's like the shiny new object syndrome where I'm like, oh, I could do that. I could do that. And I think I get really caught up in like, I could do so many things. And my ego is like, why don't you do it? Because you can. But I think I realized, hey, that's not what you actually want. So even if it's a lot of money, just leave it on the table, right? I don't mind leaving money on the table in those instances because the time that I spend trying to get that money is detracting from what I really want. And so I feel like with that realization, it was like a total light bulb moment, you know? I'm really grateful for that. And honestly, I feel like I've had many of those light bulb moments and forgot. But this year, I was like, I'm not going to forget. This is what I want. I'm trying to, of course, book my own wedding clients. John and I are trying to book our own clients. I do have some smaller brand events that I work on, namely this one called Black Excellence Brunch, but I really have a kind of one-to-one relationship with my client Trell, who's the host of this brunch, and then he really has the brands as his clients. So that's been a really great one because it's social, it's community driven, and it really resonates with my ethos and our company ethos as well. It's not just like a marketing event. It's really built around community and amplifying and celebrating Black excellence. And we are also all about working with a diverse team, with inclusive vendors, and that's the ethos that we're trying to build with our company. And the business, it's tough, but I have stopped putting so much pressure on myself, because I'll get into these moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are we going to be able to pay our bills? Like, I really, really need another job. But instead of spiraling into my thoughts, which has happened, I try to spiral it now into action of things that I have to be doing to build the business. And I feel like it has definitely been helping, and we are starting to see the fruits of our labor. John and I are really trying to be aligned as well with the business and the services that we offer. Because, we do two different things. Being in lockstep is really important. And I'm really grateful that a lot of clients hire us together, and it's easier for them, it's easier for us, it's more fun for us. We love working together. We do so many things together, obviously. If you look at our social and things like that, like, we do so much stuff together. But yeah, building the business, a lot of times I'm like, do I just quit? And then I go look for jobs, and then I'm like, okay, like, you can do this. You can do this. So now moving into the content, because it's both business and personal related. Content, so for YouTube, I was looking back. I started in August 2023, just started dabbling in it. It wasn't super consistent. I was on this self-discovery journey, which I still am, very much am, on this personal journey. And I was vlogging more, and I was playing around with the long-form content video, editing, which I actually really love. I know a lot of people hate it, but honestly, like, when I feel like the business is a little bit more sustainable, I really want to just dive into like actual editing. I only use iMovie and like the phone editing apps, but I really want to learn how to use like Adobe or Final Cut Pro, just something more advanced, because I feel like I'm ready for that. But yeah, I started in August 2023 with YouTube. I have almost 200 subscribers. It is my birthday, so if you do feel so inclined, would love for you to follow along. Right now, a lot of my my content is wedding planning related, but I am starting to think about how to reintroduce some of like the fun BTS, like vlogging content again, also because that's part of my like personal joy, right? Then in January 2024, I really was focusing a lot on wedding content, but editing a lot. And while that was fun, it just started becoming a lot in terms of trying to keep up with it. Just because editing, like planning it, filming takes so much time. And so last August in 2025, I switched over to doing lives. So I started a series for wedding planning content. It's called Wedding Planning Wednesdays. And it's a weekly live series where I dive into my favorite topic of the moment. And most of the time, nobody joins me live. Rather than it being like a really live moment, it just kind of forces me to show up every week or almost every week. Sometimes I do skip, like today I'm skipping. I'm posting this in lieu of me doing a live because I'm on site. Doing the lives isn't really good because it forces me to think about content, and then that helps me also create short form content. And I'm trying not to overthink short form content. I feel like the lives are easier because I like explaining things in depth. People have been pretty receptive. I've definitely been building an audience slowly but surely. But I don't know, speaking live, I feel like I still don't speak like myself. Like right now, I feel like I'm speaking a little bit more like myself. But on my live, I feel a little bit stiff, and maybe it's because I'm afraid to mess up. I do have notes because I am trying to talk about wedding planning And so I want to make sure I'm delivering the value and delivering the education and the information properly. So anyway, that's something that I want to work on, is just my delivery, showing up as myself. I've been doing mini vlogs for shorts and for Instagram and TikTok, because Instagram is a platform where a lot of couples and brides and grooms and partners, they find vendors. And also, I want to show my lifestyle, show my personality. And I feel like short form is a really great way to do that. And I used to overthink short form a lot, because I'm like, oh, it has to be video because I have to post on Instagram and shorts and TikTok. And that's just so overwhelming. I am excited for the day whenever YouTube Shorts, if they ever do, I guess it's a video platform, so maybe not, if they ever do allow just photo posting or come out with that. I do try to make video, and right now, even for the short form, especially for the short form, I'm trying to focus on quality over quantity. So I do have the opportunity to edit, use music, have a little more fun with the short form content, because I feel like when I was just posting just to post, it didn't feel great. It didn't feel genuine. It didn't feel like I was getting my point across, and I just feel burned out at the end, and I don't see a lot of result from it. And so this year I've been focusing really on not giving up, being as consistent as possible, and then also quality over quantity, like experimenting with the ways that I'm talking, the ways that I'm filming, the ways that I'm editing. And I feel like it's been a lot of fun, and I feel like people have been responsive. So that's been really fun to work on. And I think just showing up as myself. I've been doing this for a few years now. I feel like I can show up as myself. But I don't know, sometimes it feels so hard. I feel like this video is good because I feel like I'm setting the future year up for success. I hope that I can show up like this on my lives as well. But for me, the point of the content, of course, the marketing, but also I really genuinely want to help couples who are getting married, and just being informed about the process, because most people, of course, are doing it themselves. Not everyone has thousands of dollars to spend on a planner. The reason that I'm doing this is because I am building slowly but surely a workshop and a program to help couples do it themselves. And although I always recommend having at least a coordinator for your day, whatever shape or form that looks like. And I just want to connect with people and build my audience. And that's like the main point of it. And right now, yes, it's very much focused on wedding planning, but I do want to start peppering in some more personal content, more lifestyle, even if it's through the lens of a business owner or a wedding planner, that too. But just being more creative with it. And I think that'll be more fun. Even for my lives, I've been doing more presenting a couple of times, and it's been a little clunky, but I've been working on that. So that's been fun too, because it helps me craft my lives a little bit more polished or a little bit more structured. So it's been fun to work on. Yeah, whoever the 200th subscriber is, thank you. I'm still a long way off from monetizing from the content, but I'm just trying to stay focused on the task at hand, and eventually it'll come at some point, hopefully. But that's not really the main goal of me creating the content anyhow. But yes, I've been working on getting comfortable, and I feel like I'm finally comfortable. I don't have to do a ton of editing and all of that. That's where I am with content. I should have probably watched my content creation journey last time, but that's where I am right now, and I feel good about it. So I'm just going to keep going. Sometimes I do also just want to give up. But with every subscriber, with every like, with every comment, it's really encouraging. And so I'm really grateful for everyone who has shown up for me so far. I look forward to continuing to show up for you and to continue being connected to people. I really want to establish myself as an expert in the space, and I have a lot of imposter syndrome sometimes because I know my stuff. But a lot of times I'm like, what are people going to think? How are they going to respond to this? And I do tread carefully sometimes, but I realize I really do just have to show up as myself and just be confident in what I know and who I am. There's so much content out there, right, that also doesn't resonate with me. I see people doing it. I'm like, dude, as long as you show up as yourself, there will be people who buy into what you're saying, like understand what you're saying, understand who you are, and want to be a part of that. So that's what I tell myself. That's what I remind myself of. Here's to doing that. And hopefully by the time I post another video like this next year, we'll see how far I've come. That was a pretty long YAP video. It felt really good to just get all of that out and to kind of look back, look ahead, and also at right now, to feel good about where I am currently, being centered around that good energy. And it's also like my next week is my luteal phase. So I fully expect to not be in as good of a mood. But right now I'm feeling really good. I've gotten really good sleep. That does wonders, obviously. And so I'm trying to carry this energy into the next couple of weeks because I'm going to be on site for work. Honestly, for the most part, I'm excited for each day. Life is not guaranteed. There's so many stories of people around me, of things that are happening in the world that are sobering. Sometimes I'm like, what is the point of it all? Like, what's the point of me being happy when the world is going to shit? You know? And there's such shitty people out there doing really shitty things. I probably shouldn't be cursing, but like just doing really messed up things. And you also realize for every bad person, though, I'm hoping there's at least 2 or 3 good people. And not every bad deed is committed by a bad person. We all make mistakes and we're not perfect. We're all a part of this world and universe together. I really try to stay grounded in that. Like I have my micro life. I plug into the larger, bigger picture of the world that we're in together. And life can be really overwhelming and hopeless a lot of times, right? But there's also so many beautiful and joyful moments. And also when I like step outside into nature or spend time with friends or like have a really great connection with somebody, it really opens up my heart and my mind. And a lot of the time, the day-to-day right now, like I'm at home, like just doing my thing, and it feels so monotonous and boring. But then the minute I go outside and have a connection with someone, it changes everything. And so I think it's important to just mix it up, to be out there and then not live under a rock, but also protecting your peace and your energy, because there's times when I'm like really like looking at the news all the time and then I realize I just can't do it. In the bigger scheme of things, there will be an ebb and flow in the government, in our leadership, in the world. And of course, right now, there's just so much going on. And I feel you if you feel like WTF. But I also want to remind you that I hope that I'm sure you have moments and people in your life that bring you up as well. And I think it's really important to be able to focus on that, find solace in that, find hope in that, be grounded in that, and not just feel burned out and overwhelmed by everything you have to do and like all the BS that's happening in the world. And also, like, how are you going to show up, right? Other than being so mad or hopeless, how will you show up? How will we show up for our community? I will leave you with that. I'm feeling hopeful right now in the midst of it all, as overwhelmed as I do feel a lot of times. Grateful that you made it to the end of this video if you have. But thank you so much. If you did enjoy this video, please press that like button for me. Leave me a comment of maybe what you're going through, of what life is looking like for you. If you're a May birthday baby, would love to hear from you as well. How you're celebrating you, because that's so important. And thank you. And I will catch you on Wedding Planning Wednesdays and hopefully more of these edited videos. And cheers to just finding your joy, protecting your energy, and just this path of self-discovery. I hope you are enjoying it as well. Bye for now.